So recently I was given the opportunity to play Assassin's Creed Shadows for about 4 hours during a remote preview event. Thank you to Ubisoft for inviting me. This video is a tad bit delayed because I've been busy with KCD2. I've got about 70 hours in that game. But yeah, I played AC Shadows, and you would think with all of the controversy surrounding this game, as well as the multiple delays, that there was no way that this game would be good. Well, I'm happy to report those people were wrong. I had a fun time in my 4 hours played, and I've got a lot to talk about. So as somebody that's fallen in and out of love with the Assassin's Creed franchise, I thought Assassin's Creed Odyssey was like the best thing since sliced bread. And as much as I love Norse mythology, I thought AC Valhalla totally missed the mark. And that's primarily at a gameplay side of things. I thought the story was pretty good, but yeah. And then we have Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I thought was good for what it was. But that brings us to Assassin's Creed Shadows. You know, at first I saw the game and I was like immediately hyped. I was like, holy cow, we're finally getting an Assassin's Creed game with a shinobi as the main character. AC Red was all the hype. I was really excited for it for the longest time, but then we started to see some of the delays and my cautious optimism turned to skepticism pretty quick, because let's be real guys, we know this song and dance. We've been there, we've done that. Overhyped AAA game turns out not to be good and has a disastrous launch. I've seen this script before many times. Now AC Shadows could have a similar fate, but I feel way different this time, mainly because I played the game and there's a lot riding on Assassin's Creed Shadows to succeed for Ubisoft. Like, it almost feels like this game is like a do or die scenario for Ubisoft, which it could be the case, but enough talk about that. Let's get into my impressions of the game itself. Now, at the start of my gameplay session, I was a bit wary about the dual protagonist gameplay. We started off the game as Yasuke, whose gameplay is a far cry from the traditional Assassin's Creed gameplay. Yasuke is a freaking tank, and rather than trying to go around things, he just straight up goes through them. He's a one-man army, and it shows in the gameplay. This dude is a brutal character. Like, there's actually an assassination that's called a brutal assassination. And the gameplay is just kind of straight up fun. Like, you just go through things and start shooting people in the head with a Teppo rifle, or running up to them and start slashing them with your samurai sword and inevitably cutting them in half or chopping their head off. Like, you definitely get some similarities from Ghost of Tsushima with how the gameplay works, because, you know, Yasuke is a samurai and Jin Sakai obviously was also a samurai as well. So you get similar gameplay styles, but Yasuke has additional tools like the Teppo rifle that makes his gameplay a lot faster than Ghost of Tsushima's gameplay, which is a lot more strategic. It's more of a chess match, whereas Yasuke is more like the Hulk and he just smashes. Like, that's what he does. He goes through things, including walls and limbs and heads, and just, yeah, he just goes through things and smashes. Now, as much as I had fun playing as Yasuke, I thought his gameplay was really good, especially for some sections where it's like you have to infiltrate this big area and there's so many enemies that are coming up. And it's like, I love playing Assassin's Creed for their stealth gameplay, but when an entire game is just fully stealth, it can feel really bland, like really quick. With a game as big as this one, I think having that mix between stealth gameplay and really high action gameplay is a good thing. I think it's going to be a positive once things are all said and done. Now, in terms of the story for Yasuke, I wasn't really that impressed. I will have to wait to learn more about the Yasuke story to really fully judge it, because it could be that this is one of the highlights of the game. I don't really know because I haven't played enough, so I'm going to just reserve my judgment for once I play more. I look at Yasuke like this: gameplay amazing, really fun, especially if you're a fan of like the Assassin's Creed RPG games. If you like Ghost of Tsushima, you kind of get that in this game. Story-wise, gonna reserve my judgment, but where the game truly starts to shine is with the next protagonist, and that is Naue. And this right here is where you get the traditional Assassin's Creed style gameplay, but what I really liked about Naue is her story. I'm not gonna get into any of the spoilers from what I played, but like I said, I'm really intrigued about her story. I really like her gameplay as well. It is the traditional Assassin's Creed style gameplay, but you also get some additional tricks up her sleeve for crowd control. The parkour with Naue was also really solid. I don't know enough about Assassin's Creed parkour, so I will leave that up to the experts to judge. From what I played, I thought the parkour was really fluid. I didn't really have any major issues with it. Like, it didn't feel clunky like some other Assassin's Creed games. So take that as you will. Now, my full thoughts on the overall characters for Assassin's Creed Shadows: you have Yasuke, you have Naue, and I think these characters complement each other well. Now, one of my favorite parts about playing through the objectives and story mode is the fact that there's multiple narrative beats throughout the game where you can either choose to play as Yasuke or Naue. So you can kind of craft your experience however you want. For instance, let's say you're trying to infiltrate just an objective that is overrun by enemies. Then you might want to take a stealth approach and play as Naue. Now, if you want to, like, let's say siege a castle, which I actually did in my playtime, well, let's just say it's a lot easier to siege a castle as a samurai than it is as a shinobi. If you're trying to just enter the castle stealth-like, you can. But if you want to be a one-man army and just go through enemies one by one and just kill them all, then Yasuke will be the preferred approach, obviously, because he is a one-man man army, and he could take a tempo rifle, shoot somebody in the dome, and slice them in half in less than 20 seconds. Now, there are some characters that are easier to kill as Yasuke and some that are easier to kill as Naoe as well. Now, one of the aspects of the gameplay that I liked as well was the fact that you could press a button and have one of your allies attack and kill an enemy for you. So let's say you're dealing with crowd control and you don't have really the resources to take out every single person. You could have one of your allies like focus up on one person while you're dealing with the others. So now this brings us to the open world for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and wow, was I impressed. One of the aspects of Assassin's Creed Valhalla that I disliked the most about that game was the fact that the region and just the open world was not that intriguing. Like, you have a game that takes place in an area that rains a lot and is just really bland in terms of landscape. Now, Valhalla did have some really beautiful aspects to the game, but it's nowhere near as good as Assassin's Creed Shadows, or Assassin's Creed Odyssey for that matter. But AC Shadows, from the time that I played, absolutely crushed it. The aesthetic, the buildings, the regions, it all looks very much Japanese like, and it's only going to get better as I play more of the game with the dynamic weather and season system. I love the vibrant colors, and just the overall look of the land has me really excited to explore. From the time that I played for 4 hours, I did a lot of exploring in between objectives, and I would say out of everything with Assassin's Creed that I was most impressed by, it was the open world. Like, we're about to be eating so good. Like, I just want to start traveling and just trying to find all of the secrets as possible, because you know that there's going to be a lot. Like, not only is the world going to be vast, but it's also highly detailed from what I played. Like, you can tell the extra time that they spent polishing this game really shows. And apparently the build that I played was from December, so from December to March, the game is going to get even better. One thing that I like about certain open world games is how the open world itself, like the design, can tell a story on its own. Like, look at Breath of the Wild. The world really did do a great job at telling a story, and I get that same vibe with Assassin's Creed Shadows. A well-designed open world can do wonders with storytelling, and I hope that Assassin's Creed Shadows' entire game is just as good, if not better, than what I played so far. Now, another thing that I want to talk about with the open world is how you actually go from objective to objective. Assassin's Creed Shadows made a concentrated effort to limit the amount of icons on the screen, and it certainly seems like they're taking inspiration from a game like Ghost of Tsushima, where the wind guides you. But in this case, rather than having the wind that guides you, you have scouts. They are able to dispatch in certain areas of the world that you select. Once you dispatch them, they will look for the objective marker, and once that objective is found, you can select the option to track the quest, and then from there you can jump on your horse, and that will give you a line that goes directly to the objective that you're trying to get to. It's called the Pathfinder on and off mode. With the Pathfinder mode on, it gives you a line where you can just travel to your objective. Now, if you don't want to turn on Pathfinder mode, there's also a compass at the top that shows the icon of the objective where you can just go to from there. And as you can tell from the gameplay, they have a lot less icons and just objective markers, which is a really good thing. I hate when games take a lot of time crafting a beautiful open world and it's just filled with icon spam. It's like, no one wants to look at this stuff, dude. And yes, I'm talking about the Horizon series, but the way that Ghost of Tsushima does it, where the wind guides you, and the way that this game does it, should be the future of open world games. It feels like a more natural progression rather than a giant icon on the screen showing that this is where the objective is, and all it does is count down the meters as you travel towards it. So to kind of bring things home, I am really excited to play Assassin's Creed Shadows once it launches. I think the fact that they pushed the game back to March 20th to further polish it and to kind of separate it from other big titles that are launching, like your Avowed, like your Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there's Civilization 7. February is going to be a stacked month, so the fact that they're pushing it back to March, I think will be a net positive for them. Like, who knows, it could still be a red flag. Like, usually whenever games are delayed multiple times, it typically is a red flag, but I don't get that vibe with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, again, I've only played it for 4 hours, so things could be way different once it launches. Like I said, we've been here, we've done that, we know the song and dance, but I will say from my 4 hours played, I had a fun time, and I'm looking forward to playing the game further. But that's gonna wrap it up with this video, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe with the notifications turned on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.